Welcome to Ukraine Unfiltered, where we uncover the real stories behind Ukraine's incredible past. Today, we're traveling back more than 1,000 years to a world of Viking warriors, powerful princes, and shining golden-domed cities. This is the story of Kyivan Rus, the very first great kingdom of the Eastern Slavs. And it all began in Kyiv, the heart of today's Ukraine. Long before crowns and castles, Eastern Europe was home to many Slavic tribes, the Polyane, Drevlyane, Siveriane, and others. They farmed, fished, traded, and worshipped different pagan gods. But none of the tribes could form a strong enough country on their own, so they simply existed together and did their own thing. Then, in the 9th century, groups of adventurers and warriors from Scandinavia arrived. They were called Variahe, or Varanians. These newcomers helped organize the tribes and eventually formed Kyivan Rus. Kyiv was the name of the city, and the word Rus was used to describe the Varanians. At first, it meant just the people, not a country, but over time, local Slavic people adopted the name too, and it eventually became the official name of the land. Many years later, far to the northeast of Kyiv, another Rus region began to form. A small town called Moscovia was first mentioned in the year 1147. Over a long time, that town became more powerful, and eventually that northeastern region turned into what we know today as Russia. So if you're thinking, wait a second, so Ukraine and Ukrainians existed before Russia? You would be correct. Ukrainians, Belarusians, and Russians all share roots in Kyivan Rus, but as we all know, each followed a different path afterward. I bet that piqued your interest, didn't it? But hang on, that's a video for another day. Let's get back to the story. The first known rulers of Kyivan Rus were Astkald and Dir, but in 882 AD, a prince named Oleg came from Novgorod. He took control of Kyiv, united the tribes, and made Kyiv the capital of this new state. After Oleg came Prince Ihor, who ended up ruling more land, but was later killed during a tax dispute. Awkward. When Ihor died, his wife, Princess Oiha, stepped in. Her first order of business was to avenge her husband's death, and she did so beautifully. She was smart, strong, and resilient. She also became the first Kyivan Rus ruler to accept Christianity, and expanded and strengthened the central power of Kyiv by making friends with leaders across Europe. After Oiha's retirement, they didn't call it that back then, but you know what I mean, came her son, Yaroslav the Conqueror, a fearless warrior who spent most of his life fighting and expanding the state. Oiha tried to convince him to convert to Christianity, but he chose to remain pagan. That said, he did allow a Christian community to develop in Kyiv, thereby paving the way for Christianization of Ukraine by his son and Oiha's grandson, Volodymyr the Great. Prince Volodymyr the Great is one of the most famous rulers in Ukrainian history. He ruled for a whopping 35 years, and in that time strengthened the kingdom, built schools, and made Christianity the official religion. Why did he do this? There are a few reasons, but the main one, for a girl. He wanted to marry a certain girl, and her brothers said, okay, you can marry her if you convert to Christianity. So he did. Volodymyr and his family were baptized in December 987. He later mass baptized the citizens of Kyiv on the 1st of August 988 in the famous Dnipro River, the river that runs through Kyiv. The adoption of Christianity as the official religion facilitated the unification of the Rus tribes and the establishment of foreign relations, particularly with the Byzantine Empire, Bulgaria, and Germany. Christianity changed everything for Kyivan Rus, bringing new art, writing, and stunning architecture like the Golden Dome churches Kyiv is known for today. After Volodymyr the Great died, his sons fought each other for power. Get used to hearing about this because it happened a lot. But eventually, one son came out victorious, Yaroslav the Wise. Yaroslav created the first written laws, built the incredible St. Sophia Cathedral, which still stands today, opened libraries, encouraged learning, and started monasteries. Under Yaroslav the Wise, Kyivan Rus reached its golden age. But after his death, the fighting started again. This time, his sons and grandsons argued over who would rule. Well, to be fair, initially they did try to work together, but like every family had some disagreements and ended up splitting the land into smaller pieces, thereby weakening the kingdom. Enemies like the Kumane, or Cumans in English, saw this weakness and began attacking. The three brothers lost the battle against the Cumans near the Alta River. But later that same year, one of the sons, Sviatoslav, fought the Cumans again near the Snov River and won a big victory, all by himself, earning him some serious street cred. In the year 1073, Sviatoslav became the Grand Prince of Kyiv, which was the top ruler in Kyivan Rus. While he was in charge, the land of Kyivan Rus grew larger. Sviatoslav was also a large supporter of education and books. When he died, in came Prince Volodymyr, one of the grandsons of Yaroslav the Wise. He didn't come into power right away. His father and uncle did some things in between, but we don't want this video to be 7 years long, so I'm skipping ahead. Volodymyr ascended to the throne in 1113 and brought unity for a short time. He even wrote a book teaching his own sons how to be good leaders. But apparently they didn't read the book because once he died, in true family tradition, the arguments erupted and the state began breaking apart. Again. By the early 1200s, Kyivan Rus was weak and divided. Then came the Mongols, led by Batu Khan, ascendants of Genghis Khan. Between 1236 and 1240, they invaded the region. Because the princes didn't work together, the cities fell one by one. In the year 1240, Kyiv was completely destroyed. Kyivan Rus was no longer united and began to crumble. Its lands broke into smaller states which later became Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia, followed by hundreds of years of unrest. So who were the Rus really? Some historians say the Rus leaders came mostly from the Varangians, those Vikings we talked about earlier in the video. But Ukrainian historian Mikhailo Hrushevsky reminded the world that the people living in these lands, the ancestors of Ukrainians, were the original people there. And even though others came and went, they never disappeared. They stayed, rebuilt, and continued the same traditions to present-day times. That's a long time. Why would they hold on to their identity for centuries unless they were the original people of this land? Think about it. What makes you value something more than anything else? It's when someone tries to take it away. Ukrainian history is rooted in others trying to come and change things. This is what made those original people value and hold on to their culture and traditions for generations. With each new group trying to take over, the Ukrainian foundation only grew stronger. Kyivan Rus may have fallen, but its influence lives on. When you walk the streets of Kyiv today or see its shining domes from a distance, you're seeing buildings that have been standing for over 1,000 years. Living memory of Kyivan Rus, the great Slavic kingdom that helped shape the history of Ukraine, the independent country we all know and love. But back to the story. In the year 1240, after the Mongols invaded and destroyed the city of Kyiv, that kingdom fell apart. But as you well know, the story of Ukraine was far from over. During that time, most of the land that is now Ukraine was controlled by the Mongols. This didn't mean that the Mongols moved in and lived there. No. Instead, they managed to rule the land from far away and collected taxes from the people who lived there. While this was happening, one part of Ukraine, called the Kingdom of Halitsko-Volhynia, was really hanging on to all things Ukrainian and became the main Ukrainian state. It tried to stay strong and independent and was successful for a while, building connections with other countries in Europe, but eventually it too started to weaken. By the 1300s and 1400s, two other powers took over Ukrainian lands: the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland. Man, Ukrainians really were attacked from all angles. These forces were joined together to form one big country called Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Most Ukrainians lived under their rule for hundreds of years, which is why if you visit Ukrainian cemeteries today, you'll see a lot of Polish graves. Even though hundreds of years is a long time to be living under another country's rule, the people living in Ukraine never gave up their identity. Around the 1500s, a Ukrainian group called the Cossacks became very important. They were skilled fighters who highly valued Ukrainian freedom and protected their communities. They created their own Cossack state, called Hetmanshchina. In 1648, the Cossacks started a major uprising led by Bogdan Khmelnytsky because they wanted more rights and freedom. For a while, they succeeded and formed a semi-independent Ukrainian state. What a comeback! However, that too was short-lived, as this is where the tables turned. The Cossacks couldn't fight off the superpowers to the west on their own forever. They eventually needed help to keep their independence, so they asked the help of their neighbor on the other side, the Tsardom of Russia. Eventually, Russia began to get more and more involved in Ukrainian affairs, and over time, Ukraine lost much of its independence. By the late 1700s, Ukraine was divided between two large empires, the Russian Empire to the east and the now Austro-Hungarian Empire in the west. Fast forward to the 1900s. After many struggles, Ukraine finally became independent for a short time in 1917. But that too didn't last long, as it was taken over fully by the Soviet Union. It wasn't until 1991 that Ukraine became fully independent again. Russia obviously didn't like this and has been holding a grudge ever since. This is what sparked the first invasion of Ukrainian land in 2014, leading to what today is known as the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia. If you've watched this far, you've learned that Ukraine has a long and complicated history filled with challenges, bravery, and strong cultural identity. Even after 1,000 years of conflicts, invasions, and occupations, the Ukrainian people held on to their language, traditions, and hope for the future. A hope that still remains strong today. Thanks for watching Ukraine Unfiltered, where history isn't just facts and dates, but the story of real people building a nation. This channel will be exploring the in-depth history, culture, and traditions that Ukrainians have preserved for hundreds of years. So stick around. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that like and subscribe button and tell us in the comments which part of Ukraine's history we should explore next.